Hey guys, welcome to a segment of the Grind Never Stops podcast. I really didn't want to talk about this, but the Leafs collapse once again. So the question is what's next? But before we talk about that, what happened? What happened? The Leafs had everything going. During the regular season, everything was going fine as a bird. Everything was going fine. The goaltending Campbell came out of nowhere to backstop the Leafs himself to 17 wins to their first division title in a decade. To have the first Leaf to have a Rocket Richard winner. And yes, Marner did not have an amazing season, but he had a great season. But what happened? Everything was going well for the Leafs. And yes, game one they lost 2-1. And yes, they lost John Tavares. Yes, we know that. And I know that maybe that could have made a change in the lineup. And maybe if they had Tavares, they would have won in 5 games. But I don't think we could use John Tavares as a mistake. But that was complete embarrassing on the Leaf side because we were predicted to go all the way this season. And we played the worst seed of all the playoff teams that made it into the Montreal Canadiens. But it doesn't mean I'm underestimating a veteran and future Hall of Famer, Carey Price, who played amazing. And everyone's just saying, "Oh, Leafs collapse, Leafs collapse," but everyone's not realizing that Montreal Canadiens, yes, they might be 24-21, probably the worst record of all the playoff teams that made it, but they still got Carey Price. Yes, Corey Perry might not be the player he was in Anaheim or in Dallas. And yes, they got great players in Tyler Toffoli, Jeff Petrie, a veteran Stanley Cup champion. So Tyler Toffoli, a former Stanley Cup champion with the LA Kings. And yes, they have Eric Stahl and those boys and Corey Caulfield and Thomas Tatar. But the Leafs, we both know that the Leafs should have blew out the Habs by 5 or 6 or even 7. And that was complete embarrassing for the Toronto Maple Leafs because now they gotta make a decision on if they should keep their coach, if they should try to trade one of the top stars. Because we know Joe Thornton isn't probably not coming back. And we don't know if Nick Foligno will resign for the Leafs. And it was just embarrassing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it wasn't because Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell probably played the best goaltending in the Leafs playoffs since they had Ed Belfour. Because look, in game 1 he led in 2, game 3 and game 4 and game 5 a combine of 2 goals. Game 5 he led in 4, game 6 3, game 7 3. Well, game 7 he only led in 2 because the third was an empty netter. But that was complete disappointing by the Leafs once again, and now they have lost 4 consecutive game 7s. And it's just a playoff collapse, all written. It was all written before the playoffs start. And Austin Matthews, the best goal scorer in the National Hockey League, had 1 goal all series long. He had 1 goal in 7 games. Matthews, the best scorer in the league, had 5. And that was just complete embarrassing. Wayne Simmons had no goals. Mitch Marner, 0 goals. And Austin Matthews had 1 goal, gentlemen. And he averaged 24 minutes a game and with 1 goal. And the good part is that Matthews never got called for a penalty. But that doesn't do nothing. William Nylander had 5, Spezza had 3. And Alex Kerfoot was probably the second best Leaf in the playoffs, had 5 assists. And also TJ Brody had a good series. Justin Hall, TJ Brody were a combined +10. And the funny thing is that Austin Matthews led the team with 35 shots. That's 2% of his shots are goals, which means he had 1 goal. And it was embarrassing. You can't go on home ice, gentlemen, on home ice and score 0 goals in the first 19 minutes of play. You scored the only goal with like 1 minute to go when you're down 3-0 in game 7. And no one played well in game 7, nobody. It was just dumping the puck, chasing the puck. They can get in the neutral zone. And I'm not underestimating the Montreal Canadiens, but you are the Leafs, for crying out loud. You won the division title, the North Division. You won the division in the regular season. You were 6th in the league, 5 points away from winning the President Trophy winner. You had a great home record, 18-7. You had a great road record, 17-7. You were +39 in goal difference. And to end the season, you were 7-1-2 to end the season. It was complete garbage play from the Leafs in Game 7. And in Game 6, Mitch Marner did many mistakes, and I blame Mitch Marner for Game 6. You're down 1-0. Instead of dumping the puck in the proper way, you dumped the puck in a glass, what gave the Habs a 5-on-3, and that was game. Even though they tied it, the Habs had the momentum. The Leafs did not come to play. And in Game 7, they didn't do anything. And it was one of the worst collapses in Leafs history. And I understand losing 3 Game 7s to Boston Bruins at the TD Garden in Boston. I get that. But you cannot be at home and just score 1 goal in the final minute of the game. They could not get anything to go, the Leafs. Nothing. It was a complete embarrassment, and I'm a Leaf fan, and I'm not giving up on the Toronto Maple Leafs. That won't stop me being a Leaf fan. I'm a die-hard Leaf fan, and I believe. And I thought that the Leafs had it, but we know who the Leafs and how they play different in the playoffs. And yes, people always hated on the Leafs. First, they hated because they haven't made the playoffs. And now they made it, they always want to criticize. But I'm not giving an excuse for the Leafs' early exit in the NHL playoffs. And I'm really pissed off and disappointed in how the Leafs performed, especially in Game 7. And they had a 3-1 lead against the Montreal Canadiens. The last team of all the playoffs, they lost to that team. And I know playoffs is a different animal. We know how the NBA is, how the Warriors beat the Dallas Mavericks back in 2007. But the Habs are a great team. Yes, during the regular season they weren't. They were bad. They lost 5 straight to end the season, and they're lucky to make it. But they made it. But Carey Price is at the next level. He's a great goalie. But I'm not gonna be here and telling you that Jack Campbell had a worst playoffs. No, he had probably one of the best playoffs in Leafs history as a goaltender since Ed Belfour. But the team wasn't scoring, and the Leafs are one of the best offensive scorers in the league. They were sixth in goals for, sixth with 187 goals. Like, it was complete embarrassing on the Leaf side. And there's gonna be a lot of question marks for the Leafs. Because we know Joe Thorne is retiring. But the free agents for the Leafs is Frederick Anderson. Will he resign with the Leafs after being on the bench? But Anderson knows that Campbell was hot, and Anderson was struggling, and he got injured. Also, Zach Bogosian, Travis Dermott, Ben Hutton, Dennis Malgin, Martin Marichin, Riley Nash, David Rittich, Nick Foligno is a key free agent. Alex Galchenyuk is a key free agent. Also, Wayne Simmons, Jason Spezza, and Joel Thorne. We know Joel Thorne is not returning. We don't know if Jason Spezza at age 37 will return. Also, Wayne Simmons and Martin Marichin, who wasn't happy with the Leafs, and he did request a trade. He won't return. Nick Foligno, who's 33, age 33, he is looking to return, but the only restricted on this list is Dennis Malgin, who's 24 years of age, and Travis Dermott, who's been a key piece for the Leafs this regular season. But the Leafs need to do something big because it's been early playoff exits, early collapses. And yes, maybe if John Tavares was playing, it would have been different. But we cannot put John Tavares in that position. And yes, he's the captain of the Leafs. But you need more from the Toronto Maple Leafs because it was one of the worst collapses in history. And the second highest paid player on the Leafs, Mitch Marner, played like piece of garbage. And I know that it's tough. It's tough to not hear me say that it's coming from a Leaf and a fan of Mitch Marner, but he was a disaster. And I don't want anyone to blame young Kyle Dubas because he doesn't make the lines. He does not skate. And maybe he should. Maybe he could have played better than the Matthews of the world and the Mitch Marners. Mitch Marner was a complete disaster. And I can accept getting outplayed, but I can't accept for the Leafs to play weak for 7 straight games, even though they won Game 2, Game 3, Game 4. They looked weak. And leading the team in points in the regular season and not being able to make simple tape-to-tape passes is unacceptable for Mitch Marner. Getting bullied when you're a grown man is also unacceptable. Mitch Marner choked, plain and simple, and people might say it's time to move on from him, but I don't think that Mitch Marner is a great player, is a wonderful star, but only on the regular season, but he's complete garbage in NHL playoffs. But we're not gonna be here and giving Austin Matthews a pass because he had one goal, the best scorer in the league, the leading scorer in goals in the regular season, had one goal in 7 games. And the best Maple Leaf in these 7 games was William Nylander, was Zach Hyman, was TJ Brody, Campbell, but it was not Marner. It was not Matthews. But I think it's like the Leafs won't give up. They will continue being better. Because first they said they couldn't make it. And now they make it and now they're collapsing. The curse has to end. And they need to start with free agency, with trades. And I don't think you can blame Sheldon Keefe because the Leafs did not perform. Mitch Marner played like garbage. Matthews played like garbage as well. Even though that Matthews, at least he had chances to score and played probably, yes, Marner had 4 assists, but all of these assists that he had, or you think that he did something in this matchup, was doing nothing. And these people don't know hockey. Mitch Marner played like complete garbage. And it's a disappointing as Leaf fans. And I know a bunch of Leaf fans, and they're probably disappointed. But we're not giving up on the Leafs. We completely know that's a big no-no. We're not giving up on the Leafs. We are die-hard fans, and obviously it's tough because the Leafs deserve better outcome in this matchup. And the ghost of the Leafs past came and they continue. And it's just tough. It's tough because they should have won this game, show that the Leafs are for real. But they blew it right again. Playoff collapses. And it's not coming from the role players, it's coming from the top stars, top paid players in Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Because this cannot continue again next season, or else it's gonna be not a blow. It's gonna be a roster shakeup for the Leafs if this continues once again. It was embarrassing, disappointing, but I'm not gonna give up on the Leafs. But guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to tune in to our next segment as we will talk and debate Game 5 between the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Lakers. Thanks for tuning in.